everyone, this is Tiffany. Excited I'm back. I'm a Broadway and Minneapolis local actress, singer, dancer, and teaching artist. And today we're going to focus on musical theater, how to break down a script, which is known as the libretto. And this, I'm just going to share my process. Every actor, singer, dancer has a different process, and know that you will eventually have to find what works for you. And I'm just going to share what works for me. And hopefully you might be able to take away some tips that will help you as well. So, as you know, a musical theater script is called a libretto, or they call it the book. And so if you say, what is a musical theater script? That's what it's called, libretto, or known as the book. And the script provides lyrics for the show, and then you also have the script attached to the book. And my process to breaking down the libretto is I do several things. And number one, I read the script, not the music yet. I break it up. I don't just try to do everything all at once. I take my script, like a script, and usually the music is in the back, and then the script is in the front of the book. I will read the script and know in the script it'll mention where I would be singing, like the music, but I read the script 3 times. Starting now, I read it a lot after that, but initially I read the script 3 times. And the first time when I read the script is just to understand the story and being able to read it in my mind. I don't read it out loud for the first time. I just want to understand what the story is and who my character is. So I'm just reading it with no expectations in mind. That's the first time. And then the second time I read it again, this time I'm highlighting my part, whatever my role is, if I have a part. Now, if you're a chorus, if you're a chorus in a musical, you don't have to worry about this. But if you have a role in the musical, you will need to highlight your particular part, your character part. And I highlight it, I read it out loud this time. So the second time I read it out loud while I'm highlighting. And that is because I just want to hear how the words land and how the words affect my character, right? So it's just the second time reading it out loud. And then the third time I read it again, and the third time I make notes. I just observe what's being said about my character, who my character is, my background. It's about clues. It's not about, I'm not even breaking down who my character is yet. I'm just writing down clues that I've noticed. Is it in the day? What is he or she's background? Where are they when they say their lines? Are they in a cafe? Are they at home? Or they're on stage? Where are they? So I'm just jotting down information. And this is where the third time when I read the script, I am a detective. And that is because I am trying to look for clues about who this person is that I will be playing, and in the relationship to other characters in the play. And so I'm making notes about my partners, whoever I'm connecting with, along with myself. And then I do the same thing. After I do that, I just leave it alone. And then I go straight to the music. And then I do the same thing with the music. Pretty much is that I just read the lyrics first. And this is the big key. I don't, even though if it's a musical that I'm familiar with, and I know the music, I don't even like start singing right away. I look at the lyrics because that's, to me, the heart. Taking the lyrics and reading it out loud before I sing it to really understand what am I saying and how do I want to put a different spin, making it personal. I don't want to copy what someone else did. I want to make it my own within the same context of the show. So I'm just reading the lyrics of the songs out loud. I'm not even trying to sing them. And then I go through it again, and then I lightly sing it. I lightly sing the music because I don't want to put full throttle. I am not trying to color the character or the songs yet because I'm still exploring, right? I'm giving myself freedom to explore. So I don't start singing full throttle. I just slightly sing the song. I read music, so I read the music with the song. Sometimes I'll play a soundtrack. Some shows will give you a accompaniment soundtrack that you can kind of play around with to practice. So I'll use that if I have that. And then the third time is when I make, I'm making, the second time I'm singing it again, but I'm making notes. I'm making notes. Ooh, this is where it needs a little bit more emotion. Oh, this is where I really feel like I can really convey what I need to convey. Right. And so that's what I do the second and third time. And then the third time I just sing it with no expectation, just singing it, not trying to perform it. It's really important when you are learning your music and when you are reading your script and learning your part to not perform right away. It's not about performance, it's about exploring, really diving deep. You want to take the words that the writer, the composer and the lyricist and the playwright wrote and make it your own, but you can't do that unless you build, characters in a musical. It's the same way as in a play, you have to build. The musical theater is the three components: song, right? There's music, there's dance, there's acting. You have to build and layer so you can have a three-dimensional, well-rounded character. You don't want a superficial character. So that's what I try to do, is allow myself to explore, especially if there's time. Sometimes you might be a replacement in a show and you don't have time to explore that much. You got to get right to learning your lines. But for the most part, try to explore before you start trying to perform it, right? Because it's going to change. You're going to come to your school play or, in the professional theater with your own set of ideas, which is what you need to come to, to the table with your own set of ideas. But the director and casting will have their ideas about who you are too. So there will be some negotiating, but you want to have done all of that homework before you get to rehearsal, knowing who you are. So that's the basic of what how I start tackling a script in the libretto. And then I think about breaking down the actual script. And these are some things, that was just what I do on a basic. Now I'm going to go a little deeper in what I think about when I'm breaking down the script. Number one, I think about tone. And tone is really important, because if you don't get the tone right, then you've missed the point of the whole play or musical. And is the tone of the musical, is it comedy? Is it drama? For example, for Guys and Dolls, it's pretty much comedy. There's some dramatic moments in the musical, but it's really a comedy when you think about it, right? So the tone has a different rhythm. When certain musicals have different rhythms. I mean, it goes really, really fast. Sometimes it's really slow. Sometimes it's up and down. Understanding that. Is it a drama? And this will affect the dynamic of the scene that your character's in, or the pacing and the rhythm. Some shows have higher rhythm, faster rhythms. And some shows move at a very slow pace and very steady. I remember seeing Jekyll and Hyde on Broadway. My friend did Jekyll and Hyde on Broadway. And the pace in the beginning was just very fast. And then it kind of mellowed out. So you have to know that when your character is shifting, and why is the character slowing down in the rhythm. So understanding the tone is really important, the style of acting that you'll give. And then number two, I think about conflict and the objective. What is at stake in the scene? What is the conflict? What does my character want? And what happens if he or she doesn't get it? I write at the top of my script what I want. What I want. I want bum, bum, bum. Whatever it is. After you've done your homework, you should know, what does your character want? And your character might want different things at different times in the scene, but they ultimately want one big giant thing. What is that? And this will drive your character. This is how you will start to learn to build a character, because you understand the inner workings of your character, that they want something, and that will determine how you act and behave. You want to keep it simple. And when you do figure out what it is that your character wants, you want to go after it. You really want to go after it. This is the time where you want to take chances. And then I think about relationships, like, unless it's a one-person show, it's just you. But I think about all the other characters in the musical, and what is that relationship to my character, right? And everyone else's character in the scene. How does he or she feel about each person? How does my character feel about that person, about that person, about that person, right? Be very clear and specific, because you may act differently toward one character than you do another, because you have different feelings about them, because your relationship is different. Know the difference. You don't treat everyone the same. Maybe you do. I don't know. But that's something you have to explore. Then I think about, what is my point of view? Like anything in life, you have to have a point of view. Your character has a point of view. And what is a character's perspective? Like, what are their perspectives? Have they been hurt before that has prevented them from acting in a certain way? Or are they lacking something, like they're lacking love, and so they behave in a different way? What is their point of view? And then write that at the top. This is what I do. Write it at the top, the left or right corner of your script. For example, I feel annoyed. I'm in love. I want to hurt somebody or punch someone in the face. Whatever it is, that is what you're writing. You know, again, your script is going to be written all over the place. This is just my process. Some people will use the computer or some digital app, but for me, I like to, use a pen or a pencil, usually a pencil, because I erase a lot of stuff and then add stuff to my script. Because again, it's working. I'm building, right? And then the next thing is the moment before. That's really big. Write down what happens before the scene starts, so that you are connected emotionally at the top of the scene. And maybe your character just got in a fight or something, or again, like I said, maybe they were punched in the face. What happened before? And remember, most of these scenes start right in the middle of a conversation, so you have to be very clear about your intentions. And so what came before your scene emotionally and physically, that will give you clues about how you want to play the scene, how you want to act and behave. That gives you more depth in your character. And then I think about the actual character. I think about, okay, the moment of character. Write down 3 objectives that best describe your character at the top of the page of your script. Write down: shy, nervous, angry, mischievous, devious, happy, silly, whatever. But they have to be actionable. I always say, like, make it actionable. And that's actionable words. But whatever your character is, write down what describes your character. And you can even use what other people say about your character, which will give you even more information, right? So you might have views about what your character, who that character is, like they're shy and they're nice or mean, but then what do other characters in the musical say about you, your character, right? So that gives you even more, because it may be other people in that musical. I mean, the character may think completely different about who you are, and then you may think of yourself very different. That's why I say that point of view is important. And then I think about action words. This is easier to play when you have an action verb, right? Underlining operative words, hurt, beat, or these are just examples of action words. What is the internal emotions that my character have that makes me want to do an action verb or wants to punch? So if my action verb word is punch, then what words can I use that indicate punch, right? And so that's another layer that you can add to your character, right? Action words. And you want to see how they land, because they might affect the other person, right? These can also be words other characters say, again. And then I like to think about subtext. Write out what the character is thinking in, say, you could do left or right column of your script throughout the scene, even when they are not speaking. This is even crucial. This is when I was talking about in the beginning, writing down clues. What is your character thinking? Not what they're saying, what are they thinking? This is how you really dig deep in the psyche of your character. It is the inner stream of consciousness monologue that really helps you understand your character and what he or she is thinking and feeling at any given moment, and whether or not he or she is saying what they mean. You know, sometimes characters will talk, but not really mean what they say. Like, I love you, but really the subtext is I hate you. I love you, but really is I hate you. How would you say, for someone you really don't like, and you're saying I love you, how do you indicate I hate you with I love you, right? So there's a different layer that you have to go to, right? So, and that's fun for me because then you have more room to play. And the words are born out of these thoughts and feelings. So again, these are the subtext is what your character's thinking, not what they're saying. And you've got clues from the script that can help you with that. And then the final piece is the unwritten moments, the moments in the musical, in the libretto that is not really there, written. And those are the most important. That's why I say that subtext is important. It's all about what the character is not saying. It happens in the pauses, the unwritten moments. Like, for example, a character may say, I thought I loved you when I first met you, but I no longer love you. And so one way you could respond to that is a long pause and then speak, or say nothing and walk away. By saying nothing, you're saying something, right? So by what you're not saying is saying a lot. We do that in real life. That's the human psyche, that sometimes we don't say what we should be saying. So it's in the script. When you're looking at the clues, your character is not saying X, Y, and Z, but that pause is saying X, Y, and Z, or that slap is saying X, Y, and Z, or changing the subject, or I've got to go to work now, is saying more than what is written, right? It's all in the psyche, in the subtext. So that's the unwritten moments. Again, it's about what the character is not saying. It happens in the pauses, the unwritten moments where the character's reactions and behaviors say so much. And make sure those pauses, whatever those pauses are, you're not just wandering and you're not playing the performance of a pause. Make sure those pauses are filled with thoughts. And that is really important when you're thinking about your character, your musical theater character, because otherwise you're just singing and dancing and we don't believe you, right? The musical theater is so powerful because you sing what you can't say, you dance what you can't act or sing, and you have these moments where you're, instead of telling you how I feel, I'm going to sing how I feel. And you know what? I'm going to do a little tap dance because it's that deep, or that fun or filled, or that, moment of joy. And then there's moments where singing and dancing is not appropriate. I'll just speak and act what needs to be said, right? And so you have this juggle back and forth. That's why I love musical theater so much, because it comes alive. Song comes in where dancing doesn't, or saying your words and acting doesn't. It's when the script, when you sing and dance, when saying your words is not enough. You got to do more. And so when you think about the libretto, really think about your character. Even if you've got 2 lines and you've got a really small character, you still do the same process. I do the same process with a tiny part in a musical and a big part in a musical. So that is what I want to offer you. So remember this, as an actor and actress, you need to have the skill to be able to take the writer's words, dig deep, and understand what the writer is trying to convey, while also putting your own spin on it, right? That is important. You're taking this and bringing it to life. You're taking this book of script and music and you're bringing it to life. And that is the process I use to bring it to life. Again, you might find your own, but I hope these tips will help you. So just remember to continue to study and train and keep a positive attitude, and you will be on your way to accomplishing your dreams. You can do it, and I am rooting for you.